Find your people. People, find your people.
Yes. Ooh, that's a nice little line.
People, find your people.
People, find your people.
Gente, encuentren su gente.
Gente, encuentren su gente.
Sí.
Hello, podcast people. Thanks for returning for more podcast learning. Or if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Pod Sound School is a place where you can fortify your podcast knowledge or get started podcasting. We have a special focus on those looking to leverage the power of podcasting to grow their craft, artwork, business, or brand, and expand their reach. Today, we've got a fun episode for you where we've gone off format and off script. I attempt to educate Veronica on the topic of EQ. So definitely stick around until the end of the episode and you'll understand the basic terminology and workings of equalization and why it's important. We also have some sound bites and sonic examples for you to help it all make sense. And before we get started, remember to hit that subscribe button. It's a free way to stay up to date on all the free resources we put out every week. And if you're enjoying the show, make sure to leave some comments or come visit us on social media at Pod Sound School. Okay, let's get to it. Hey there, Veronica.
Hi, Steve.
This is our first attempt at doing a unscripted podcast episode all about EQ.
Oh, wow.
Are you excited?
Yes. Yeah, I'm very excited.
You're excited to learn about EQ. Well, I'll try to make it. It's late at night. I think this is the perfect scenario.
It is kind of late.
If I can make it make sense to you, then I think it will make sense to other people too.
Okay.
So EQ stands for equalization.
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 Yes. And so when you're talking about an EQ unit, you could call it an equalizer.
Equalizer.
Yes. And so in mixing and recording of sound, equalization is a process that is constantly used by audio engineers to adjust the frequencies of audio signal. First, let's talk about what frequencies are, okay? Or what sound even is, like us talking, right?
Okay.
If you can visualize how sound works, if you've seen rain drop into a puddle or a rock drop into water,
okay,
right? And you know that rippling effect that happens, how the circles, as they spread out, they kind of even get bigger as they go outward. Well, that's how sound works in air. And how volume works with that same analogy is if it's very loud, it's going to be like a giant stone falling into the body of water, right? You're going to see these huge waves that they're going to go out over a long distance. They're going to have more power.
Okay.
Right? So that's amplitude. And that's the volume of these frequencies. Well, different frequencies, different ranges of different frequencies have a different power to them or a different speed to them. And it's all about how many times per second that they revolve or that they go through one cycle.
Okay, and this is heading to something. Why is this important to understand?
Well, it's important to understand, and it is heading somewhere, because just having a general understanding of it is I guess, it's not just because it's fascinating, because I know you're extremely fascinated by this.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Can you tell?
Yeah, that you just love this. But basically, to understand frequency and to understand audio production, we got to understand human hearing. We got to understand how we hear so that we can adjust certain frequencies, right? So it is heading somewhere. Okay, so first, what you do need to understand if you're going to use an EQ unit, let's just get to that, is hertz. Hertz is the measurement that sound is measured in.
Okay.
And how they measure that is how many cycles per second. I don't think that's really important to know. But what is important to know is the names of the hertz. So the average human hearing can hear from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Mm-hmm. And then the shorthand for 20,000 hertz would be 20 kilohertz.
Okay.
So you don't have to say thousand. And when you see that written, you see HZ, and that would be hertz. Mm-hmm. And then you see KHZ, and that would be kilohertz.
Okay.
Okay, so the lowest we can hear is about 20 hertz, and the highest we can hear is 20,000 hertz. So those low waveforms are going to be moving. They're going to be bigger waveforms. Whoa, whoa. But the higher waveforms are going to be really fast.
Okay.
Super fast. And the higher the waveform, the higher the pitch, the faster the waves are moving. So let me show you an example, and
okay.
you might want to brace your ears for this, and listeners also brace your ears. This can be a little uncomfortable.
Okay.
These are sine waves of these hertz. So we're going to start at 100 hertz. So this is what 100 hertz sounds like. Okay.
Yeah, manageable.
You can already hear some instruments that are in that, and even with that 100 hertz, I can talk like that in that 100 hertz.
Yeah, kind of like meditation.
Meditation. Now we get into the 200 hertz. We're more in a mid-range.
Meditating.
So now we're going to double how fast that waveform moves.
Okay.
And now we're getting more up to your voice tone a lot. Yeah, you're a lot. You have a lot of 200 hertz just as a main frequency that is in your voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See, now let's double that to 400 hertz. It's kind of starting to get a little painful.
Yeah.
But that's also very common in a lot of our voices. Now, one thing you're probably starting to notice as you listen to these and you listen to my voice is that we don't just have one frequency in our voices.
No,
we don't just resonate in one frequency. We're all over the map.
Okay.
Because I have a little 100 hertz in my voice, but I also have some 200 hertz in my voice. In my voice when I'm talking, it's all in the same speech. So as we keep going through this, just keep noticing that there are many frequencies in every speaker's voice that are emulating all the time as we speak. The idea of using EQ is to sweeten or to take out some of the ugly sounding frequencies that maybe don't sound so good, specifically towards somebody's voice.
Okay.
Because 100 hertz might sound really kind of too much on my voice, but it might sound really pretty on your voice because you have a higher voice than I do. So adding some 100 hertz to the mix might really help to kind of warm up your voice.
So this is something that you have to customize
to each speaker. Yeah, it's going to be different to each person. So we heard 100 hertz, we heard 200 hertz, and we heard 400 hertz. Now let's hear 1K or 1,000 hertz.
Is this going to hurt my ears?
Not as bad as 3K will. And I've turned it down so it won't hurt too bad.
Okay.
Okay, but 1K, this is where we start to get up into the higher register.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of painful. This is what you kind of...
It's taking me back to my childhood.
The emergency broadcast system?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not even that. It's like in Colombia, we used to have a scheduled television from certain time to certain time. So after 8 o'clock, it was nothing but that.
But just this noise?
Just that noise and the color bars on the TV screen.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, see, so there is that, and that's a sine wave. It's a tone that we can just generate that is only that isolated 1K. Okay, now in all of our phones, all of our devices, they're all calibrated between 1,000 hertz and 4,000 hertz because that's what our ears.
How many again?
1,000 to 4,000.
Okay.
Or 1 to 4K. That's where human speech is most recognized in.
Okay.
So these are very important frequencies not to cut out of your mix, or you won't have any articulation. Because if you listen to the way we're speaking right now, the syllables, the vowel sounds, the consonant sounds, the S's and things like that, they were in these 1Ks.
Oh, okay.
But now here's 3K, and this is where you might want to brace a little bit, but I've turned it down. This is really where we recognize human speech.
Okay.
And what's funny about that is I have that turned down a lot.
Like a dial-up internet.
Yeah, dial-up internet.
You're just taking me back to the 1990s.
Yeah, I mean, those are the places where you hear these frequencies isolated at. But you hear, like, I have this turned down really low, but it hurts.
It does, yeah. It's making me dizzy.
Yeah, it kind of makes you sick. If you were to just listen to that, you might puke. I feel kind of sick. But that mixed with all of our other frequencies, Now, let's just go to 12K and then we'll stop there. So this is 12K. This is very high up in our hearing range.
Okay.
And this is what it sounds like.
Oh.
Yeah, right? Now, one thing you hear with this 12K and even in the 10K or the 9K range is that's where a lot of your like refrigerator buzzes are at.
Really?
Yeah, that's where a lot, but they come really low, and that's why if you don't have a nice clean room and you have that 12K emulating all the time, that's in your microphone. But if you do get it in your microphone, then you can go into your DAW and you can isolate just that 12K and take it out of your mix a little
you're
bit.
going to have to explain that to me because it doesn't, so the refrigerator bus, why it doesn't, if you're in the kitchen, it doesn't sound as annoying.
Because we get used to it because it's not isolated. So it's
okay. It's not as annoying, but when you are recording, then the microphone picks it up
more than our ears.
Isolates it. Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't really isolate it, just picks it up because
to that high frequency?
It does. It picks up this high frequency, but this high frequency is just much lower, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, so to illustrate some of these frequencies, we now heard 100 hertz, 200 hertz, 400 hertz, 1 kilohertz, 3 kilohertz, and 12 kilohertz. I thought we'd record a little snippet of your voice that has many different harmonics, many different tones in it.
Okay.
Now, in front of you, I have some common phrases.
Okay.
And whenever you're ready, if you could read some of those phrases.
Okay. Well, these are some hard words.
Yeah, I thought this would be kind of fun for you.
The small pub knocked a hole in the sock.
Okay.
Yeah. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Press the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swung die was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. 2 blue fish swam in the tank. Her purse was full of useless trash.
Okay, good. I think that's good enough.
Oh, okay. You don't want me to say that I was getting started.
Oh, you were just getting started. Okay. All right. So now that we've done that, let's take a listen. And now that I have your voice here, what I'm going to do is throw an EQ unit on it. And we're going to go through some of these frequencies. So let's just start on 200 hertz.
Okay.
And we'll go with some of those phrases that you said. We'll highlight just some of those phrases. And I'm going to turn up 200 hertz, and then I'm going to turn it down. Let's listen to what it sounds like when I turn up 200 hertz in your voice.
The small pub knocked a hole in the sock.
Okay.
Yeah. The fish twisted and turned
now
on
I'm
the
going to turn
bent hook.
it down.
Press the pants and sew a button on the vest. Oh, yeah.
So it sounds like I'm not even in the room.
The swung die
it
was
takes a lot of the body
perfect.
out of your voice.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of the view it sounds like the young boy. It's like a phone call. 2 blue fish swam in the tank.
Okay. Okay, so now let's go to 400 hertz.
The small pub knocked a hole in the sock.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's like I'm inside of a turned on the bent hook. Tunnel or
metal or something, right? Yeah. And
so
a lot of times this frequency can be kind of the cardboard sound in like instruments or kick drum. Now I'll turn it down.
Perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. It's just, it doesn't have 2 blue fish swam in the
quite
tank.
As much body,
yes,
but more of the higher end of the body.
Her purse was full of useless trash.
This actually might be a sound in this area that you might want to take out of voices a little bit to clean up some of the frequency. So now we're going to turn up the 1K of your voice with the same phrases and hear what that sounds like.
The small pub knocked a hole in the sock.
Okay.
Yeah. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Press the pants and sew a button on the vest. Okay,
now I'll take it down.
The swung die was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned
now you can hear
the
some of
young
your
boy.
T's, some of your enunciation, some of your consonants go away when it's totally down.
The small pub knocked a hole in the sock.
It kind of sounds nice in some ways, but it also it gets less clear. So now let's go all the way up to 3K, and then we'll do a 12K, and we'll be done with this demonstration. So 3K, this is where we most recognize speech. As I turn it up, it will be trying on our ears.
So that's the recommended. The small pub knocked a hole in the sock.
Okay.
Yeah. The fish twisted and turned on the bent
Now I'm
hook.
going to turn it down.
Sounds very
Press
nasal.
the pins and sew a button on the vest.
Now, if I turn down the surrounding
swung
frequencies
die was
also
far
in this
short of
area,
perfect.
you'll hear all of your articulation goes away and you become less easy to understand.
The small pub knocked a hole in the sock.
Okay.
Yeah?
And then finally, let's just hear 12K.
The small pub knocked a hole in the sock.
Okay.
Yeah? The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook.
This is your real S's here.
The small pub, the swung die was far short of perfect.
So now you can probably recognize, like if I were to go back to 1K again and you just listen to your voice in the 1K.
The swung die
yeah.
was far short of perfect.
And then you remember the 1K here. That's the 1K in your voice. So
the swung die was...
what we're doing basically is going through, and EQs are a tool that we can use in our mixes there's two types of basic EQing you can do, and one is called subtractive or corrective EQing, and the other one would be an additive EQing. And that is to take the sounds and to do what you call a sweep, and to sort of sweep the EQ knob through those frequencies to pick out the ones that you really don't like, and then you reduce the volume of them.
Okay, I have a bunch of questions.
Okay, yeah.
So is this something that you do before you start recording, the setting of your EQ, or is it something that you do after you have finished recording and then you get into your EQ wherever? That's another question, like where can I find the EQ? Because you talk about the EQ, I'm like, is that a piece of equipment that you connect here? Can you find that in your DAW? Is it in your computer? Or
Yeah, okay, so there's a couple questions there, really good ones. The first question is, generally you wouldn't mess with the EQ too much before recording because then you can adjust it later.
Okay, so you don't have people saying, okay, tell me a few sentences and so I can adjust the EQ.
You do in live
you do
situations a lot.
Live situations?
In live situations, yeah, because there's no processing the audio afterwards.
Okay.
So on stage, every one of our mixers, and if you remember from the channel strip episode, and you can also go look at that channel strip episode on YouTube, every mixer has some EQ adjustments. Because just like you notice with your voice, you don't really resonate below 100 hertz. So I could just kill off everything below 100 hertz.
Yeah.
And that way I won't get any low hum on your channel or on your track. And then your second question with the DAWs, yes, every DAW, all of the DAWs have EQs in them.
Okay.
And they're EQ units that are based off of the initial analog units. Now, some podcasters use mixers that record to an SD card or that record digitally to their computer for them, and they know their microphone, they know their voice because they've played around with it enough that they'll actually always know, okay, I want to kill a little 400 hertz out of my voice because it sounds like cardboard. I want to give myself just a little bit of a 3K boost because that gives me a little more clarity. And then maybe a little 100 to give me a little more beef.
And where do you do that? So we're talking about an independent unit?
Independent unit.
Is it in the computer?
Or in your computer, yeah.
Okay.
So, and in your computer, that's why it's important to understand the terminology here. So really, that's just this episode just talking about terminology. Oh, this is what 100 hertz sounds like. This is what 1K sounds like.
Okay.
Because then if you know, my voice is way too harsh in my microphone, then you can go into your DAW, you can set up an EQ on the track that your voice is on, and you can make those adjustments.
So if you go inside of your DAW, then you're going to see something like a button that says EQ?
Yeah, a button or an effect. A lot of times it's called an effect or an insert.
Okay.
And you'll see that inside of any of your DAWs. Usually you apply them to the track. A lot of times, like in GarageBand or in the free ones, there's just presets. It'll say like vocal or like, stage vocal or broadcast vocal. And those just come with EQ's presets already.
Okay.
Where they'll have like 400 hertz cut out and stuff for you already.
Okay.
But it's cool to know what the EQ is, So.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because I'm all about presets because when you're not knowledgeable, about sound production and all that, then are the presets one size fits all kind of thing, or would you recommend for somebody who's just starting recording to experiment and stay away from the presets? Or
I think that's a really cool question because no. So first, no, I don't think they're one size fits all. But second, I think, yes, it's a great place to start. And especially if you don't know a lot and you want to just kind of get going and you want to get good results, then that is a wonderful place to start, is just to record a little bit of your voice, you know, and then go through and try out all the different presets.
Okay.
And then that's a great way to start analyzing what kind of EQ settings or what kind of other effect settings you like on your voice. Because if you click on those presets and you like it, then you can actually go into the EQ unit. And now that you've listened to this episode and you understand that the EQ is a unit of measurement, and 20 hertz is the lowest and 20 kilohertz is the highest. And it's just that range. Then you can go in and you can say, oh, this preset had 400 hertz cut out. Or it had a little 2.5 kilohertz really boosted. So now I know that I really like the sound of 2.5 kilohertz on my voice.
Okay.
You know, and that now all of a sudden you're speaking the language of audio professionals.
Okay, so if I have a jingle for my episode that I play every time, or if I'm including music to one of my episodes, then how do they get treated separately? I imagine, because our voice frequencies are different from...
Yeah, so with that, mostly your concerns are going to be volume concerns more than they are EQ concerns in most cases. Most of the time, unless your jingle just sounds like garbage, it's going to blend nicely into the background if you just turn it down.
Okay, so you want to turn it down.
But that specifically, and let's say you want to have a podcast where you always have music playing, and I'm a big fan of those. I love to put music into all of our episodes.
Yeah, me too. I like that.
Yeah, well, when you do that, if the music is a little over blaring, or if you want to push the music a little bit more, you can take that 3K range. Since now you know that speech is most recognized between 1 and 4 kilohertz,
Yes.
then you can reduce 1 and 4 kilohertz from your music bed. And that way that will open up those frequencies for your voice to stand out.
Okay.
And likewise, you could also boost that in your voice so that you stand out above the music a little bit there too.
And then, so we have learned about signal flow,
Yes.
which I had to painfully learn about signal flow.
Now you're a master.
Yes,
of
I'm a
signal
master.
flow.
Yes, I'm dominating the signal flow.
Yes.
And then last week, you talked about the channel strip, which I was not involved in that episode, and I'm kind of sad that I wasn't.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to involve you in this.
I know, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And then today we're talking about EQ, how it works and what's important to it. And so it's like this this very important concepts that you're taking us through that we need to learn. Where is this heading to?
Where this is heading to is basically just overall control and mastery over your mixes.
Okay. Then my next question is, let's say I have a very low budget and I have my computer and I can only afford a Blue Jetty. I have read your blog, or I have listened to the episodes about acoustics, and I managed to have my recording set up in a room that is isolating all the buzzes and sounds and all that. And so I've been listening to the Pod Sound School, and I've been doing the things that they tell me to do. Is it possible to... So why it's important for somebody like me, who I only have a Blue Jetty and my computer, to learn about EQ, the channel strip, and signal flow and all this?
Well, that's exactly that. I think that's where it becomes even more important. That's where things like EQ and understanding compression, which is going to be next episode, which I'm very excited about. She just did the gun symbol and blew her brains out.
Scratching my head.
I don't think that's fair. Once you get through the compression episode, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I went my whole life without, without knowing about compression. It's one of the most amazing concepts there are.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, but
Can hardly wait.
that's where it becomes vital, even more vital, right? Like, because if you just go into a studio where it's perfectly soundproof and you have a $2,000 microphone and you're speaking into
Okay.
But if you have a less expensive microphone, using EQ post-production properly and using it tastefully and understanding what you're doing, not just clicking and praying, but using intention, you can actually get to a prosumer level.
Okay.
Where you're a professional, you're using consumer grade products, but you are using it professionally, and that is fantastic.
Okay.
That's great. And so let's wrap it up and I'll ask you, so what are some of your takeaways with EQ? What do you know now that you didn't know about EQ?
Well, I don't appreciate to be put on the spot like that. I feel like I'm back in law school again.
Well, they say.
Okay. So it's a EQ. Shits. I know that the unit of measurements is the hertz.
Yes.
I know that it goes from 20 hertz to 20,000 kilohertz. And EQ, it stands for equalizer. And that it's important for us to know what EQ is, because depending on the sound of our voices, you can manipulate your EQ so your voice sounds cute and nice.
Yeah. Or you can reduce unwanted noises.
Yeah, you can reduce unwanted noises.
You can soften harsh noises.
Yes.
You can boost lovely noises or juicy noises.
Okay. I really like that when I'm listening to a podcast to listen to the T's and the S. When you treat the voice like that, it makes it more intimate. It makes it more like a pleasurable experience.
Well, great, and I think that wraps it up. And
really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was enjoying my time here.
I know, it's really fun, huh? I think that was very nice. I like that we were kind of off format a little bit with this podcast.
Yes.
And that's what we want to do. We want to mix it up and have fun. So give us the feedback too. How do you prefer getting these episodes? How do you prefer this information coming to you? And
anything that can help you to navigate this boring subjects. Just kidding. They're very entertaining.
This is what
They're the best.
I'm just so offended by that.
We love you so much.
Yes,
and
we're
so excited to be part of your lives, and we're so excited to be part of your shows and your projects and your dreams.
It's been very fun.
It's been fun, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
Okay, good night.
Ciao.
Well, podcasters, there's another tasty episode for you. What did you think? Let us know. Come visit us anywhere at Pod Sound School. Also, we have a wonderful new Facebook group called Podcasting for Bosses. Check this episode's description for the link. And remember, doing what you like is freedom. Liking what you do is happiness. Goodbye for now, lovelies.
Learn from valuable learning experiences. Interest in work for which learners see a purpose provides its own discipline.